Welcome to the show today, everyone. If you are finding us on YouTube, hi, I'm JJ. You might be here looking for Ding. And if you are, just want to let you know it's my show, which what that means is I'm going to talk. So if you don't like me, which is totally cool, where can they find more of just you, Dane, if they're looking for more of just you?
You guys can check us out at crohn's-lifestyle.com or our YouTube channel, just youtube.com/crohn's-colitis, or just search it. Pretty easy to find, and or CC Lifestyle. But let's get into it. Let's change some lives. We're here to be positive, to be life-changing, to be a catalyst for what's possible in life. And both of our pain has become purpose. That's why we're here.
Absolutely. And if you're listening on the podcast, obviously know by now we did a video. So come on over to YouTube, jjflazames.tv, so you can meet Dane. Okay, I can't wait to get into your story. I was looking up all the things about your awakening, if you will, to this new purpose that you now have based on your pain, based on your traumas, based on your body wanting some attention in a new and different way for you to focus in a new and different way. But no one else, unless they've heard the bio here on the podcast, they don't know anything about you yet, potentially. So why don't we start at the beginning and talk about how you got here, where you've had an event happen to you that changed your entire life.
Yeah, isn't it funny how we kind of arrive somewhere and you go, how the heck did I arrive here? I was a good old boy from Virginia. I didn't know anything about functional medicine. We just ate food. We didn't know what organic was. You know, back in the 90s and late 80s, it was kind of, hey, just eat, right? I worked at Papa John's Pizza. I worked at Domino's. I ate Chipotle every day. Everything I ate was glyphosate and GMO and crappy milk and cereal. And I started getting older and I always had bloating gas issues, but by the time I was 19, I started seeing blood in the stool. And that's not fun. Whoa, what is that? I said, you look online, it's a hemorrhoid, it could be a fissure. And it went away, but then it came back, and then it came back harder and harder. By the time I was about 23, I had full-blown diagnosed ulcerative colitis. 24, they had said it was Crohn's disease. 24 and a half, they said it was ulcerative colitis with gastritis. No, it's Crohn's disease. And some of the best hospitals in the country couldn't decide which form of IBD was hurting me. And it didn't get it better. I had little moments where I took the medications I was supposed to. So one thing you might know about me is I'm not an against the grain guy. I was doing what I was told. I just wanted my life back. I wanted nothing to do with diets. My mom and my dad were pushing me. I was just a kid to try to do all this, and I wanted nothing to do with it. I just wanted to be 22 and 23. And the reason I got into this is because I got backed into a corner. My life was at stake. We had already thrown $20,000-$30,000 at this and gotten nowhere. We had already tried different diets and gotten nowhere. We had already seen about 10, 15 doctors and gotten nowhere. We'd already done 3, 4 colonoscopies. I had already failed a biologic. I had failed 2 different immunomodulators. I had already been on prednisone for 3 years on and off. I had already tried LDN. I had already been on mesalazine, Asacol, Lialda, all those forms. And I was just getting sicker. So for anyone listening, you might realize this, and I don't want to scare anyone who's never been that sick, and maybe you're just starting to get into healing and what's happening. I got awoken from getting the crap beat out of me and suffering and being depressed and being anxious and being angry at God and angry at my mom and angry at my doctor and zoning out on Netflix and not getting ready for the day anymore. And it went from this stinks and I hate my life to I'm losing the ability to walk. I can't stand up without fainting. I need a wheelchair. I lost 60 pounds of weight. I would have 25 bloody bowel movements a day. I couldn't eat any food. A sip of water would send me to the restroom. Having a bowel movement was kind of like pooping glass. And I would wake up 5 to 6 times at night, so I wasn't sleeping. And I'd have these cold sweats, nightmares. I'd get this balloon stomach looking like, I was male pregnant. And I was covered in cystic acne. That was also strange. I mean, I didn't have acne at 20, but at 24, I'm talking my entire back looked like a war field of cystic acne. My chest, my neck, a bit of my face. I stunk. I was a stinky dude. I was losing control of my bowel movements. I was wearing 2 pairs of underwear. I was having to poop in the car, pull off a highway, run in a restroom, ask people to beg them if I can jump in front of them. I mean, the most shameful experiences a young man can go through, I was going through, and I was living 2 lives and I was hiding it. So how I arrived here is when you get pushed into a corner where you use all your resources and you ask and you pay and you visit and you're just getting worse, something has to change inside of you. This is either going to completely ruin your life and you'll be a victim of it, and the whole world will accept me. If I'd have told the whole world I got diagnosed with an incurable disease and it was the worst kind, and I had to move back with my mom and file for disability and get my stoma bag and just sit there eating potato chips watching Saved by the Bell, right? It would have been, the whole world would have accepted that. And I got to a point where I saw the way that the whole world could accept it, but I loved my life. I cherished my dreams. I was not willing to accept victimhood. And the only way out was to crawl out with my own two freaking bloody hands out of a hole. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know how I was going to get out. I just put one foot in front of the other and I started doing prayer, purpose, journaling. In the beginning, I only ate what I cooked. I started only watching things that made me happy, made me laugh. I stopped watching Terminator 2. I stopped allowing negative conversation to come into my life. Something switched in me, in my heart. And there's this, I want to really give this big point to everyone listening. There's an innateness inside of you that once you decide to heal, your body already knows how to do it. It's uncomfortable and it's really difficult, but it starts to recognize things that hurt you and it recognizes things that helps you. And I became innately aware of conversation, of energy, of breath, of a clean house, a clean room, if I got dressed for the day, how I made my food, what I made. And it really expanded because then I could start to see the variables like, oh, this sugar, this starch, this fiber, this oxalate, this salad, I'm starting to understand what is messing with me more. Whereas before, angry, depressed, only watching Netflix, having sugar cravings, anxiety, right? We get more anxiety, we get more sugar cravings. What's happening energetic, what's happening physical are 100% linked. So when I started walking towards happiness, walking towards a smile, walking towards peace, I started getting better about my discipline, the variables that were shifting my health, and I could compound that on a day to week to month to year schedule. I was housebound for 1 year. So I did this for 1 year. So when I say I wasn't kind of sick, this wasn't something that was easy. I wasn't trained beforehand. I didn't think, oh, I'm going to be a functional medicine practitioner and help heal the world of Crohn's and colitis. That wasn't my mission. I was just a kid. I just wanted to be a kid. And there was a lot of anger around that, a lot of resentment. But pain to purpose, it was pain that eventually I stood up and I started walking. And then a year and a half later, I had taken back my life. I had got myself off all my medications. That was my choice. I could have done it better, but that's what I did at that age. And then I realized that I had now, because I had turned pain to purpose, I now had a superpower. And I could do something that not many other people in this world, I could give something that not many other people could give, and I could relate and connect in ways that not a lot of people could connect. I'm sure it's the same with you, JJ. And it's just something I just feel like I have to give it now. Like once you build it, like what's the first thing you do when you buy this amazing present? You want to go share it with people you love.
Right.
You buy a new car, you buy a new house. Who wants to buy a house by themselves?
Okay, I have to ask. My audience is going to want to know too. And if you don't know, that's okay. It's a kind of personal question.
Go ahead. Hit me.
It's also one of those woo-woo questions. Do you happen to know your astrology? Do you know your sun
I'm a
sign?
Sagittarius.
I knew it. Okay.
I feel like that's why my wife does too. Yeah.
Do you know your moon sign by chance? Do you?
My moon sign is a Leo, I think. I'm double fire. I know I'm double fire.
Okay.
I'm told I have a lot of fire. That's what's going on.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right. Now, I only ask that because I used to, as a Pisces with a lot of Sag, I have one planet, my ascendant is on the cusp. So it could be Capricorn or Sag. And so I would before I really understood the energetics of astrology, I was like, oh no, I want the Capricorn because I want to be balanced. And again, no disrespect for you Capricorns. I do love you. But I wanted the earth sign because I have no earth in my chart. I'm like, okay, I want to be that Capricorn. But then the more I learned about Sag, if I had a really depressing, bad week, I didn't have any money, I was in survival mode when I started my business, I lived alone, I was working super hard, had adrenal fatigue. And when I would hit that sort of really bad, low place, both emotionally and energetically, if I just gave in and surrendered, for a couple of days. It would take no longer than 2 or 3 days. There'd be a fire that would come in and kick my butt right off that couch and be like, whoa, okay. And I would allow it, and I would allow part of that. And it sounds like for you met that part of yourself. You were talking about, you get to know food and environments and negative people. And what I was hearing was you developed your intuition. Like you got real connected with your intuition. Your body, which is our subconscious, it holds our subconscious, is talking to us all the time, but most of us don't know to listen. We override symptoms. We override irritations. We override bloating. We override pain. I don't take very, very, very rarely do I take something that's like, some kind of pain pill, like a ibuprofen
Medication.
or something. I don't take any
Yeah.
of that kind of stuff. I don't even have it in the house. But because I'm usually the pain has a message, and I try to teach people and help people like figure out what that message is. And it sounds like, at that young age, you're not looking for depth. You're not looking for, spirit. You're not looking for that, but it got delivered to you in the package of, and I work with a lot of cancer patients. I have a lot of cancer doctors in my sphere and friends and colleagues and stuff. And so, looking at cancer as a gift as to say, hey, the life you're living is not the life you're supposed to be living. Things that you are doing are compounding the situation, and you can't just change one piece of it. You have to change all of it. Every single part of it has led to most of the time to where you are now. And so I love that this spiritual journey, really, this sort of awakening that you've had, that you were aware enough, conscious enough, open enough to receive the information. Because like you said, you could have just done the thing that most people do, which is to say, oh, I'm sick and I don't know what to do. Doctors say I can't get any better. You know how many times a day I hear that and I want to scream? I'm like, oh, my neighbor down the street's doing some stem cell transplant for a type of cancer that he has. And I go, well, there are other ways to build stem cells. And they're like, oh, we've researched. I'm like, yeah, you've talked to doctors, and doctors want to sell you something. I'm telling you, there's other ways to build stem cells. But anyway, I stopped because I knew they weren't interested. They weren't open. They're not going to be, and that's fine. But that is a majority of our population. And so my population is very much I want to heal this. I do not accept that there is an endpoint for this. I've had Dr. William Davis on the show a million times. He wrote a book called Undoctored. I'm sure you know Dr. William Davis. He, from super gut to undoctored to wheat belly, right? So we're talking about the medical community understanding that there's a big pharma influence, and and I'm not anti, like you said, I'm not anti, if you need something, you need to be treated, you fall out of the sky, you have a car accident, you need to be rushed to the hospital, you need emergency care. Awesome. But Western medicine is not equipped nor good for any kind of long-term chronic pain, illness, disease, lifestyle, trauma-induced from, chronic conditions that we're living in. And so I really enjoy knowing that you're out there, because I actually had a client years ago who had Crohn's. And this is before I got into what I'm doing now. I was a personal trainer then. And while clean eating and all the things and the exercise piece was a huge part of it, once I started to really put together the emotional side of all these diseases and sort of the root of that emotion. I've had Dr. Bruce Lipton on the show a million times. I'm going to be going to his event, and he wrote Biology of Belief. And that's all I needed to hear to go, yeah, your beliefs change your biology. Exactly. Yes. And so we still need the physical side. So I would really love to know from you. And we're going to highlight all of the things that not all the things, but you are a specialist because you've lived it. Literally, you've come through it, and you help thousands of people heal something that doctors will tell you can't heal.
I've personally worked with probably over 800 Crohn's class clients personally, with at least 3 months each person. I've had clients I've seen for 2-3 years, probably 40 of those. This is all I've been doing for 10 or 12 years now. And
so having you as a resource for people who are out there, whether it be for them or someone they know. So if you're listening to this, watching this, and it's not you, but you know somebody who deals with this, who is unhappy with this, and maybe they might not be interested. Maybe you can ask them if they'd be interested in learning another option, or to see if they're open to learning something new. You can share this podcast with them, share the video, share the audio, whatever they're willing to do. Share just the website. I'm going to give you some content at the end of this that you can just send them to Dane's website, because suffering is a choice. Especially when when information is being presented to you they didn't know before. So maybe you didn't know before that there was an option, but now you do. And after today, you're going to know a resource to send everybody to, who can help people heal Crohn's, heal colitis, and all these digestive disorders and dysfunctions. And so irritable bowel dis
Inflammatory bowel disease, irritable bowel
inflammatory bowel
syndrome. Yeah.
disease. Okay,
IBS, irritable bowel syndrome,
right.
is something that you would be very surprised with the amount of people in Western world who have it. I mean, the numbers are skewed, but it's something around 20 to 30% of America is dealing with a form of IBS, some kind of bloating, gas, diarrhea, constipation, IBS-C versus IBS-D, diarrhea versus constipation. And then I really consider that like almost, that we have pre-diabetic, it's like pre-IBD, because if those problems fluster and the gut lining gets injured and those cytokines start triggering, which are the immune system, start triggering to those pathogens, like a stress response can do that, now you're dealing with IBD. And then, again, we're being diagnosed, oh, microscopic colitis, no, it's pancolitis, no, it's ulcerative colitis, no, it's Crohn's disease. I had someone write 5 minutes before the show, hey, I was diagnosed ulcerative colitis for the last 10 years. Just got a colonoscopy. Doctor says there's no ulcerative colitis, but it looks like I now have Crohn's disease. It's just like the labeling of these things are very traumatizing to us. And we just have to realize there are root issues to why our immune system is attacking ourselves. There are microbiome issues, there are digestive issues, there are stress issues, there are nervous system issues, there are adrenal and hormonal issues, but they are all connected together. So I want to give you one piece of advice out there listening that's going to help simplify all this. If you help fix one thing, it helps fix everything. They're all connected. So if you fix your microbiome, it will help with the hormones. All right? Now start with the gut. That usually is where you want to start for everything to get better. If you fix the gut, you'll probably notice your anxiety starts going down. You ever have a good, great bowel movement and you go, I got a clear mind, good energy, and I'm not worried about yesterday, and it was pissing me off 20 minutes ago, right?
Yeah.
So it's all connected. And that's also true on the opposite side, where if one thing goes wrong, that stress goes wrong, then you got bloating and cramping, you got a new zit, you're like, oh my God, where does the zit come from? And my pants don't fit, and I'm tired, and I got chronic fatigue. So it's the same way. It can all come at once and can all go very similar. So everything is connected. One of the problems with conventional is we see things separately. You have to go to a cognitive doctor to then, chiropractor to then a GI specialist. And I like to give doctors their grace. They're geniuses in their own right. They are the very best at emergency care practice. If you're in shot or you're dying, or you're in a car accident, they will save your life. If it wasn't for conventional medicine, I would be dead. My case was extreme. I nearly died December 14th, 2014 of Crohn's colitis complications, and they helped save my life. And so I'm always thankful for them. I always want to shake them hand and hug them. All I want is for them to recognize and make space for what we do, because this matters. And they will save your life, but will empower you to get it back, to have your true life, your true freedom. It's not easy. It's hard work, guys. This is not some like, oh, we have this magic pill. Some people get great results really quickly because it's a few missing things. But be prepared to climb the hill. Be prepared to work. Be prepared to get stuck and then have to pivot. Stop expecting perfection, because that's a form of anxiety. I'm going to lose it if I don't get perfect results.
Yeah. I want to talk more about the physical, but I want to go back a little bit and have you identify maybe some traumas and some things that you think emotionally, your childhood, your parents, your upbringing that may have contributed to some of this nervous system imbalance and sort of immune response that your body had.
So there was one of our members, and we have over 1,000 members of people with IBD who talk to each other every day. We don't govern each other talking to each other. I think it's of integrity. It's like, what are your results? What are you doing? We're both in the program. We can talk to each other. Everyone can talk. And this one woman had got done with week 3 in the program, and she quoted me about the law of relativity, and this is related to your question. She said, I had said in that, if we all of us agree on this podcast right now, we all agree that stress can make us sick. We all have agreed that stress has made us sick. What can the opposite energy do? I call that the law of relativity. For one thing to exist, its opposite must exist. And so when you really look at it, what stressors happened in our childhood or around the time we got sick that affected it, and what is the opposite energy to now create as a lifestyle so that you can maintain the signal to the physical, okay? If what do I mean, the signal to the physical? If you have a stress energy, a conversation on the phone, you're feeling something breaks up, you lose a job, something that happens in your mind that signals your nervous system, that signals the cells, that signals the genetics to express all of them. So For me, some of those traumas were, I could say that I believe that some of the whey protein I was drinking from GNC, because I was really big into weightlifting. I was a young guy who had a lot to prove. So the physical choices I was making was based on my need to prove something as a man. A lot of men are listening to this, and a lot of women right now are going, oh my God, that's my brother, that's my dad, that's my husband. I was taking in 180 grams of crappy protein a day because I needed to build muscle and be a strong man because I had something to prove. I also wound up, a lot, not people actually know this, but I wound up as an actor and model, and I did really good at it. But what was driving me from Virginia to pursue that career? I had something to prove. My ego was hurt. Things that had happened. My mom's not gonna like I say this, but I'm gonna say it to you guys because I really believe in being vulnerable. That's just who I am. And don't cut this, JJ. Okay.
Oh, I don't cut. Don't you worry.
My mother had an affair on my father when I
You were
was 1 years
angry.
old. I was angry and I felt like my dad was being abused in multiple ways. His next wife abused him too. And I wanted to fight for him. I had
Mhm.
dreams when I was 13 years old that if we ever went to a bar and there was never an altercation, I was gonna lay some dude. I was gonna go toe to toe with whoever, and my dad was gonna be on the sidelines. I was angry about how he was treated. I was angry about our name and the blood and like my own blood. Like I look down at my hands, I see my father's hands, and I've had this like I'm a fire sign. It's just my journey. Like I will tear some shit up inside of me. I'm a freaking lion inside, but I'm a nice, good person who cares about integrity. I will never hurt people. I don't believe in taking advantage of people. I will never try to make money by reducing my impact that I can have. It's impact over everything. Like I got to take results. I don't like negative energy. I have a really good soul to help people, but I had a lot to prove. It pushed me to, I got to look perfect. I got to be in the best shape. I mean, I was 6% body fat, just pumping iron, bench 320 pounds. I was living on prednisone. I was in Men's Health magazine. I did not a kind of time. And that's how far I had to prove all this. I was flying around the world trying to prove something. A lot of people go, well, great. Well, a lot of people who do a lot of stuff and acting and modeling in Hollywood, they got a lot of daddy and mommy issues and a lot of things to prove. And as I proved them, actually, the need to be that drastically reduced. And I got better with relationships, female relationships, and I got married. I have 2 kids now. But what I would say about the emotional, is a perfect example, is I had something to prove. I had to be in perfect shape, and I was sacrificing my health to look great. I was sacrificing my health to prove that I'm the man, and it was hurting me in multiple ways. So I think that some of the food choices I was making was not about my health. It was about protein and macros and cutting weight and looking perfect. And I can say that now, and I know that about me now, and I'm okay with that, and I'm okay sharing it because it's gone and I've dealt with it. But I still have that fire in me. Like you listening, you're not perfect, and neither am I. We can't expect perfect leaders, but what we can expect is leaders who are high integrity, who do their best, and who are honest. And that's all I can be, is I can be honest and I can try to share. But at 10 or 12 years, I've built massive resources and value for our community with IBD that I never had, and I would have given anything to have, because I was alone fighting for my health. And I felt alone when my parents split up and I had to go to my mom's house and my dad's house. My dad's depressed. My mom's out dating the guy she had an affair on with, and he's rich and he's going to Formula One races and he's a dork. And I was angry. So, we're getting into it a little bit, and I'm telling you about myself, and I hope it relates and it helps you move forward. That energy turned into daily decisions that also, I believe, led to my gut being injured and my body being injured. And I see it in a lot of guys who lift in the gym. I see it in a lot of guys. They're sacrificing their health to prove something. And I was that. And it's still an itch every once in a while. You want to be the best. You want to compete. So I think that's
Can we unpack that a little bit?
sure.
Can we unpack that just a little bit more?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
because this
bring
is my jam. I help people rewire core wound patterns,
Yeah.
and the epigenetic piece is a huge piece, because in the state that you were in fight or flight. You were in a state of like
100%.
the whole like thing to prove,
Yeah.
right? So again, between adrenals or whatever, and that fight or flight state is not a healing state. And if you're living it all the time, it's a survival state. And so your body is not going to do what it needs to do. It's going to shut down in a lot of ways. But I want to address, especially if there's any men listening to this or people that have shared this with someone that's never met me before either,
Yeah.
anger is never the true emotion. It's the emotion that most men and a lot of women choose to land on because vibrationally it is more powerful. Anger feels good. Anger feels way better than depression, right? Depression is powerlessness. So you don't want to feel powerless. So you're going to hold on to the feeling of power by staying angry. But what anger is a lid on the boiling pot. And what's underneath the lid that most people don't want to feel that would help process the energy faster is fear and sadness. So I think ultimately, while you were angry at your mom for the betrayal and and the Leo in you probably thought that makes us look bad.
Yep.
In a way, right? That's the appearance outside to the world. But there's also a deep fear of that could happen to you. And so of course you're going to want to make yourself the best because someone could do that. Someone could break your heart and betray you in another way. I mean, yes, you betrayed the family in that way in your mind, right? But so at whatever age that happened, the message becomes clear. It's not safe. It's not safe for me to trust that someone's going to love me for who I am. I have to perform for love. I have to make the package the best package possible so that it ensures no one will leave me.
But
And
I'll
so
always have the power. That's what it was. I
Yes.
could never give the power. I couldn't be vulnerable. For you're absolutely right. I had a hard time being vulnerable with women emotionally, and I needed to be the best so that there was no way they could hurt me. That drove me to try to make all this money, fame, acting, modeling, do whatever I can to be fit, perfect. And I got to a point where I just tried to hack that. So you're absolutely right. And it took a long time to learn it. I actually did mental health courses, EMDR, EFT tapping. And one of the things out there listening is just saying it out loud and just letting it be is already healing.
Mm-hmm.
You got to admit it. I couldn't even get married to my wife till she knew who I was
Mm-hmm.
and my past and what was going on, because my wife's completely opposite of that. And it scares her. And I think it scares a lot of women listening to hear about men's past and how they were. I mean, men can be fiends. And so everyone needs to give space to be understood, and that can help the nervous system calm down, your breathing get better, it changes the signal inside.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at a lot of holistic medicine, when you have problems in the colon, like my problem was specifically in the colon, there is a lot of problems around letting go and yeah, fear and worry. And I mean, I think almost all of us get this sense, especially in Western world, with idolization. We grew up in idolization. We grew up with everyone being better than us. We grew up in this high school where there's the cool kids and the not cool kids. We all have this sense of I'm not good enough.
We all learn how to
The funny
perform
thing
for
is the
love.
cool kids have the same thing. The cool kids actually have I'm not good enough going on too.
Yep.
And you've got pretty girls. You're looking at this one pretty girl, and then guys are your friends, and she goes, "I don't think I'm pretty," and you're like, "What? Did she just say that? That's like disrespectful. Like I could never look like you, and you're telling me you don't think you're good enough? What hope?" Everyone's heard their friend say that, right? And so we are all until we can say it out loud. Men, I think, have a really hard time with this, especially. That's why men don't intrinsically listen to a lot of mental and spiritual podcasts or interviews, because it's pride, it's cut wood, it's fight, it's just we put that aside and we go fight, and it's for better or for worse. So we all have, any choice we make in who we are has its pros and has its cons. It has a yin and it has the yang, all of it. There's no choice you can make in life that it doesn't have an opposite energy to the benefits. And that's where I'm just okay with it.
Well, I think like you, people end up where they end up because they're pushed. You're either pushed by pain or pulled by passion. So when you're pushed by pain, you get to where you need to be. I've had plenty of men in programs of mine who had to be pushed by a lot of pain to sort of have this sort of awakening and learn how to be vulnerable and learn that their anger issues were really a deep-seated fear and sadness that they weren't willing to allow out, because as a man, you're not taught to honor that and to have that, because it doesn't feel safe. It makes you feel even more vulnerable physically for your life. Like, right? If we go back to sort of caveman times, if you show weakness, then you're a prey and someone else could dominate you and kill you. And so it's really embedded in us, and our society doesn't really help it. But, I was agreeing when you were saying about like seeing it in the gym. So in my history, my first book is called Fit to Love: How to Get Physically, Emotionally, and Spiritually Fit to Attract Love of Your Life. And I wrote that as what my story was, because my story wasn't that I lost 100 pounds and I became a personal trainer. Like, personal training was a step on the path between acting and then personal training into now really the combination of human behavior, because now I'm helping people to rewire core wound patterns that takes both perspective, understanding of psychological behavior, as well as all the other energies that I deal with. But it really was, that book was about, it's not, and I did a whole podcast called The Energy Underneath that people keep referring to, that I keep referring to, because it's really not about what you do, it's why you're doing it. It's the energy that fuels whatever it is you're doing. So if you're going to the gym and you're going because you have to look a certain way to feel safe, that no one's going to hurt you, the energy underneath that isn't clean. It's a negative energy. If I'm going because, and this is what I hope to help people do with all of that, is that you're doing it because you love yourself. You make a decision that I'm doing this to invest into myself because I know what's going to happen in 5, 10, 20 years from now. So the energy underneath, because there are people that they're addicted to exercise, they're addicted to the way they look. It is not a healthy thing, but that doesn't mean exercise isn't healthy. It's just, why am I doing it? So I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the traumas and the emotions and the story that got you to where you are, because if we date that back from how many years before you were diagnosed did the divorce happen, and then your world got kind of cracked?
Oh, many years, 10, 12, 14 years. You know, no one in my family had ever had any issues like this. I mean, it was unseen. But, you know, I think what you said, just to echo a little bit what you said, that degree of separation of why is everything in the long run, because there's a compound effect to that degree. It might sound like little, but you put that degree of separation 3, 4, 5 years out, it has a lot to do with where you are, how you arrived in this moment. I'm still not in a healthy relationship. I still feel anxiety about myself. I still feel like I'm not good enough. And we're waiting to say, oh, I can lose 2 pounds of fat here and I could increase my muscle here, but what's the ROI? And you wake up one day and say the ROI is almost nothing. It really, in real life, it's almost nothing. The real ROI is going to a mental class, getting vulnerable, being real, deciding who you are, because you can't meet someone you love or connect until you already know who you are. And men have this big problem. Men are like, what I was doing wrong was I was chasing women trying to prove I was good enough instead of deciding who I wanted to be and then only looking to attract her.
Yep.
It took years to figure that out. I mean, I was literally, she's hot, like every other dude, right? She's hot, she's cool. I wonder if I can get a date with her. That's what a lot of women don't like hearing that. That's what a lot of alpha males who are athletes and they're tall and they were given that genetics that 95% of women go after. That's how they're thinking as boys until they become men. Now, listen to this. I know 18-year-old men and I know 40-year-old boys. Let that sink in. Okay? Let it sink in. And, you know, growing up and wisdom is about experience and action. If you don't take action on these things, you won't get wise. And if it's uncomfortable, you're probably doing the right thing. Because if it was comfortable to do, you would have already done it. Your mind would have already done the math on doing the comfortable thing. So what you're here and why you're listening is you're trying to feed the action towards discomfort, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. I'd love to go run off that and tell you some of the things I did when enough pain.
Yeah. Well, I want to go into that.
Right?
I definitely want you to explain. And I have a question before. I mean, I know we're going to tell all the different things that you did, and I want to hear every single one of those.
Yes.
But I'm curious before in case we go on a different tangent somewhere in it, gut testing. So
Yes.
do you do gut testing with your clients?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have a specific gut test you prefer, or is it individualized?
I really think there are a lot of nuances with the test with the lab companies. Like the Gut Zoomer by Vibrant America is pretty great. But I like GI Map because that's the one I was originally trained on. I'm really close with the company. I'm close with the guys who started it. I have really good systems with them. You know, we do a lot of labs, but the one thing is my company makes $0 in labs. I never want to make $1, but I can do a GI map, and I've had clients in Dubai, India. I just did a GI map in India 2 weeks ago. I can do Germany, Scotland, Canada, Mexico. Had a client do it in Peru. So we've worked out ways. That's another thing is like when you're doing a lab test, it's also about the cost. You need the integrity. I like the whole thing to be quantitative PCR. A lot of stool analysis are only multiplex, which means they'll give you like a +1, +2, +4, or they'll be yes, no. I don't like yes, no, and I don't like +1, +2. I like a quantitative number, an evaluation I can really understand. And not every test is doing that. GI Map is full quantitative, which I like. The second test I like the most, and I think it's comparable, if not even a little bit better. You could debate it, but it's more expensive. And then
Zoomer.
what everyone has, yeah, I mean, a wholesale price on GI map, it cost me $400 to get you a GI map with a zonulin test. Zonulin is the
Hmm.
protein that helps give you an understanding of leaky gut.
Hmm.
So that's 400. I like the GI 360 as well. The reason I like the GI 360 is because it's a 3-day stool analysis. And we know that the bacteria found, especially in the first 18 feet of the GI tract, which is your small intestine and stomach, that is harder to find in a stool. No stool test is perfect because the majority of the bowel movement is made in the colon. So what it's picking up is the last 10 feet of your GI tract. But a lot of us are having H. pylori, C. diff, we got biofilm issues, we've got parasites, we've got SIBO, SIFO. These are the upper GI, and no test is going to be great at this. So you'll hear this over and over, Dane, how can I test for SIBO? What can I do? There's not a great test. You need a great practitioner who knows what they're doing. They're unexperienced with it. If you're getting gas and bloating and you're having food digestion issues, undigested food, liver issues, you most likely have SIBO. Pretty much anybody with IBD or IBS probably has some form of SIBO. SIBO is not a diagnosis, it's a state of the microbiome. Same thing with SIFO. SIFO is small intestine fungal overgrowth. It's not really a diagnosis, it's a state. So dysbiosis kind of means the same thing, but we are all dealing with a imbalanced microbiome. That's one of the core anatomy issues for all of us. So one of the traumas, I'll actually take that into one of the traumas now, because the GI map is helping with the microbiome. It has some missing links. You want to do the two tests I'd love to do is an organic acid test and a GI map test together, because the urine can give me a little understanding of what's going on in the body. If I do it at the same time as the stool, I can play off each other, because I might not find Clostridia in the GI map, but I might find other forms of Clostridia bacteria other than C. diff in that test. I might find yeast in the stool analysis, but I might not see signs of yeast in the urine analysis. So that can be a really good way to play off, but it's about $750 it'll cost a practitioner to do. So there's no way around it. I'm hoping that if I continue to scale the company and have so many people asking for labs, that I can work out a deal with these labs, because I bring so much business that I can reduce cost. Again, I make $0. I'm a great business person, but I'm impact driven. I'm about conscious capitalism. Money makes the world go around, but I do not mix oil and water. Money and health is easily oil and water. You need someone of integrity. You need someone who's going to fight for you. You need someone who's been in your shoes, and you need someone who's good at financing and good at talking at the table, because I got to go and work deals for people. I'm not just fighting to put money in my pocket. I'm fighting to make sure that the clients have access to things at affordable prices. And so we do probably $200,000 a year in labs. I make $0.
Yeah, that does need to be worked out. I've done the GI map. I have not done the Zoomer, and
Try the gut
and I've
360.
okay. Is that the same company as the GI map?
No,
No.
GI 360 is doctor's data, I believe. Just type in GI 360 doctor's data into Google, guys. That's a good one. I mean, you have to get a licensed physician to order it for you. We focus on the GI map, but the GI 360, what I like about it, and I'm doing a before and after and case study with Biobotanical Research right now. They're good partners of mine, so I'm always just working with people and building stuff, and we're doing a case study with them. And we're doing the GI 360 because I've done so much GI map. I've done so many. I'm like, let's do another one. What I like about the GI 360 is it's 3 days of stool. So over 3 days, you're collecting stool. So if there's something different coming out, you're more likely to catch it. So that's the one thing I'm like, oh, that's nicer. But it's like an extra $150, I think, something like that.
Well, when people are making choices about what and how to test, and I'm sure that when I know that one of the things that you guys offer as a company is a free discovery call.
Yep.
And whenever someone was to then work with you, you're going to do testing, because you're going to have to see what's going on, right? I mean, you can't go around.
Let me fix that a little bit. You don't have to. We work with a lot of people who are on a serious budget, and look, we can build you a plan to help reduce symptoms with either insurance labs or none. Here's why: because your symptoms have already tell. I can guess, and even if there is a symptom there, I'm going to build you a plan that's already going to address it before I even see the lab. Here's the difference. I can start addressing things without hurting your body or putting you in danger. So why not act? I can act immediately on it. So I'm not going to just put you on, olive leaf or oregano or a biofilm buster so quickly. I know how to do it in a way that they're going to reduce Herxheimer reaction. I'm going to work on drainage first. I'm going to work on microbiome first. I'm going to play defense which is going to help take back the microbiome anyways and help flush out some of that dysbiosis. I'm going to watch my sugars. I'm going to see how you respond to fat. I'm going to see how you respond to oxalates and fibers and resistant starches and short chain fatty acids. So I can literally, if you put a gun to my head and said, no labs, fix this person, game on.
Okay. Good to know.
But yeah, you want to do labs. So not to
No. I'm actually tired of doing labs. I've done so many labs that I'm like, I'm tired of doing labs.
Sometimes you don't get results for 3 weeks and they've already changed their symptoms. So
Right.
if someone has the money, I'm like, yes, let's do labs. Let's confirm if there's C. diff. Let's confirm E. coli, Campylobacter. I'm actually, the more lab I push harder is the viral load panel. Not many people do this. So I've been hunting in this game of IBD for a long time. So I'm going to give you guys a really big clue that's a game changer right now, okay? One of my core problems that nearly killed me was not the candida, it was not the dysbiosis, it was not the H. pylori, it was cytomegalovirus. And for a lot of my clients, it's been Epstein-Barr virus and also active herpes simplex virus. It's more than a pimple, okay? It's more than a little red dot on your mouth, okay? These viruses can cause chronic inflammation. They're called enteroviruses, where they can live and become more co-infections in the colon and cause all that bleeding and cramp, no matter what you're eating. See, I could eat nothing and my colon would be going berserk. It was the cytomegalovirus causing my colon to go berserk. And one doctor found it in one sample out of plenty of colonoscopies. In one sample, it's very hard to find. And that's why he put me on a chemotherapy to help save my life when I was in the hospital. That's why I even got life-threatening. Do you know that a lot of HIV patients it's not the HIV that kills them, it's actually a virus that kills them because their immune system's so weakened? My immune system, I've never had any kind of serious disease other than Crohn's colitis, but my immune system was so weak, the virus had taken over my body. And I've seen a large percentage, roughly 40 to 50% of the clients I have tested for viruses with a special test with an MD doctor in Germany who runs his own lab, have tested positive for one or more active viruses. Okay, echovirus, I'm gonna give you the viruses. Echovirus, yeah, JJ's smiling. She's like, oh yeah, give it to me. Echovirus, okay, VCV, varicella virus, herpes simplex virus, Epstein-Barr virus, cytomegalovirus, and Coxsackie, okay? These 6 viruses, they're all actually forms of a herpes virus. It's not about kissing the wrong frog. 95% of us all have them. Handshakes, hugs, kisses, sharing glasses, the viruses are going. Most of us have a strong enough immune system where we're fine. Same thing as COVID. So most of us are asymptomatic. Some of us are in an ER room. Some of us are developing autoimmune. Okay. Dr. Armin, A-R-M-I-N, has helped formulate a specific lab that he believes are linked with Crohn's and colitis that he has built for us. It's 6 viruses and 2 bacteria that he finds in the blood. He also checks more antibody reactions. So most doctors, I used to just say, ask your doctor to check your EBV and CMV, IgG and IgM. Okay, IgM is a fresh current infection, which is 80% false negative. Okay, it might not be there, but it's rarely showing for active virus. IgG shows past infection. So even if you show positive, the doctor goes, it's in the past. It doesn't mean anything. It's still invaluable because I know that you've had it and I know your body's built antibodies against the virus. So I'm going to treat it anyways if I see that high IgG. The third one Dr. Armin does is he does an IgA. An IgA antibody test, which they're not really doing in the United States, is a local mucosa reaction. I'm talking cognitive, dementia, Alzheimer's. I'm talking about arthritic issues. I'm talking about gut lining inflammation. And I'm telling you that 40% of the clients that I'm checking, 40, 50, right around there, are testing positive for one or more. Some clients, 4 viruses.
All right, so with no labs.
And then it's getting reactivated.
Okay, so with no labs.
Whole podcast right there. Go ahead.
Yeah, totally. We could go off on a tangent there. With no labs and guessing, because could you guess based on symptoms that someone might?
If I see your colon freaking out, if I see you get shingles, if I see you have a lot of night sweats at night, if you've had any past viruses where they mess you up, where you get more symptoms when you get the flu or cold. So some clients will come in and they'll go, like I had this mom I was working with, and every time her son got sick, she'd go to 15 bloody bowel movements a day. And so I said, I already know virus is a massive problem for you. Your body doesn't react. So I'm going to build a plan around that. So a lot of it is, yes, I am like Sherlock Holmes. My team, our coaches, our doctors are like Sherlock. We know this stuff. So we'll put you on natural light antivirals if we think it's a problem that have no side effects. Monolaurin, it's made from coconut. Research shows that you could take it for 2 years straight. It won't impact your microbiome. It doesn't hurt the good guys, and it deactivates viruses. Lysine helps deactivate any type of herpes simplex. Even if you're someone who has HSV1 or 2 and you want to get rid of it, I'm telling you, it's probably connected to autoimmune if you have it. Okay? Lysine's great. And then I work with a company called NutriMedics, and they've helped me build protocols that are a little bit more dangerous. So I'm not going to mention them here because you have to understand Herxheimer reaction, drainage pathways. Your body's got to be ready. You need to be working with a coach, in my opinion, that we continue to work them up. Now, I've had reactivation of cytomegalovirus that I have shown before and after using natural herbs from home that are cost effective and wiped them out and wiped out both the lytic and latent, which is the active and non-active in what's called ELISpot technology. You use ELISpot technology with EBV and CBV. You use the IgM, IgA, and IgG with the other 4 viruses. So yes, I know we're talking spiritual, we'll get into it, but virus is one of the core missing things. I keep hearing, like, I love working with SoCore. I work with their team closely. Parasites, biofilms, Candida, massive problem. Anne Baroque was one of my great friends. She was a survivor of multiple sclerosis, 20 years in remission, wrote the Candida cure. Candida, and she actually mentioned in her book that her co-infection of Candida causing her multiple sclerosis was Epstein-Barr virus. She wrote that thing in like 2016. And so we're seeing that not only if you have one of these problems or a microbiome issue, it weakens your immune system and we get co-infections. That's why I hate the term, what's the root cause of this disease? That's dumb. Start asking, what are my root issues? It's never one thing. It's always more. It's what's going on emotionally. It's what's going on with, I almost promise you, co-infections. It's not one infection. Once Candida comes, I almost guarantee you got SIBO. I almost guarantee you probably got H. pylori. I guarantee you got a viral infection that can replicate. That's why stress is triggering you. Because your immune system's weak and you have all these infections waiting and your body's holding on like just for dear life. And then all of a sudden you get bad news, bam, you're out. So we've got to, that's why I call my program Shield. I don't call it Walk on Water. I don't call it Cure IBD. I call it Shield. Because the cure for Crohn's and colitis is not to eradicate disease. It's the ability to respond to it. And guess what? That is true for everything in life. If JJ wants to feel good, she can't eradicate a bad day. She can come on here and write 5 New York Times bestselling books and then have a terrible day the day after she wrote the book. You can't eradicate negative energy. You have to respond to adversity. That is the cure for life. Okay? If you stop brushing your teeth, your gingivitis will flare and it will come out of remission. Can I use that language? Your gingivitis will flare and come out of remission if you stop brushing your teeth. So we all have incurable gingivitis and we have to keep it in remission by taking action steps of balance. Your marriage will flare up and divorce will come out of remission and you will get a divorce if you do not balance it and nurture it. So get out of the trauma of I have to do this for the rest of my life and start living in balance and recognize where you're out of balance. Toxic load, energetic toxic load, what's going in your mouth, air, water, food, and be learning and be curious because we've been lied to and we can't trust the government to take care of us anymore because they're not protecting our food, they're not protecting our air, they're not protecting our water. Tap water is poisonous as all can be. And it sucks. It costs us more money and we can't pay for all this great stuff with our insurance and we're paying all this money. Can't tell you how much money I pay for health insurance, almost never use it. So, we have frustrations, we have angers, but put all that aside, let it go because it's only going to hurt you. It ain't going to help you. Be grateful, be happy, come join us, high five people like you, get around people who want to get better. And man, you're going to make yourself into 2.0 and you're going to love yourself. And the last point I want to make, JJ, I'm going to give you back the mic on this one because I know you've been giving me a second here. You said earlier about pain to purpose. And I wanted to talk about how I switched that because one of the reasons I wasn't healing is because I kept doing, my driver was fear. As you said it eloquently earlier. Under the anger is fear and despair. That was my driver to try to eat right. And so when my mom would bring home, you have to be gluten-free, you have to be carnivore, you gotta only eat plants, you gotta do bone broth for 5 days. It was a fear-driving energy. So when I started meditating and I started praying and I started letting go of my pain, I found this epiphany. Here was the epiphany. Everything that drove me to be that model and actor and try to be perfect, like to try to be, even though I wanted to let go, I wanted to change my why. I still want to be the best version of myself. Maybe I don't want to just do it to prove something, but I still want to be my best version of myself. To heal Crohn's and colitis and to be the very best version of yourself through your looks, through your energy, through your conscious mind, through the frequencies and the law of attraction, your very best version of yourself is the exact same thing as healing your chronic disease. The steps you have to take to be the very best person and walk in their shoes Okay. Imagine them right now. You at your very best frequency, your best looking. You hold eye contact like a G. You're clean energy. You're amazing. You're breathing calm. You're not worried about the past. You're not worried about the future. You are here. You are powerful. Nothing moves you. That person and healing your disease is the same thing. Imagine taking the mind of your best self and just putting it in your sick self. What would they do? They would stand up, clean that house, put it right out their to-do list, call everyone, tell them what's good, focus on solutions, put on some Bob Marley, get outside, go for a walk, and run. And that's all I did. I just decided I am gonna desire this because it's actually the best version of myself. Healing myself of Crohn's and colitis and becoming Dane 2.0 is the exact same thing. Once I got that into my cells, there was no stopping me. And that's how I arrived here, to answer your first question.
Perfect. Well, it is, since I did start this podcast almost 10 years ago to talk about law of attraction and been teaching it ever since. And I just did a solo show a couple weeks ago that was about how to help people who don't want to be helped. But it's understanding that every version of you exists. The healthier versions of you exist, the sicker versions of you exist. It's where you're playing. And if you look at what is and you stay with I'm sick, then, and you focus on I'm sick and you identify as I'm sick, then you're going to keep manifesting I'm sick. But if you decide that there is a healthy version of me that I would like to become, how does that healthy version of that person act, think, walk, talk, and feel and emanate all day long? And some of that's going to come out. And yes, it has to be fueled emotionally, I think, and I believe based on what you're saying also, I'm agreeing with you. That this isn't a debate. I'm in agreement 100%. And vibrationally, quantum physics, you have to live emotionally and be fueled by the feelings, the hopefulness, the positivity, the freedom, the love, the joy that can be hard to do when you're in despair, when you're sick, and when you're hopeless and you're sad and you're frustrated and you're angry. And, and that's what a lot of people experience. So I'm definitely not in, there's no disagreement here on that. And so just remember, everybody who's listening and watching, if you don't know about law of attraction, it is quantum physics, it is physics, and every version of you exists. What frequency are you on to receive the inspiration, the motivation, the action, the accountability, and the resources needed in order for you to express and be that and allow that to come into reality. One more thing I want to add about, and then I want us to just tell people where they can find out more. I know you have a free
I have a
PDF.
question for you.
Oh, yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Hopefully it's not too long-winded. What in your innate spirit tells you, what are the top 1 or 2 things that help shift your frequency? Because we now understand what frequency is. We understand it's what is connected to emotion, how you feel, what you're vibrating, what you're attracting, quantum physics. What are the 1 or 2 things that helped most greatly shift your energy?
Well, do you mean long-term or temporarily?
Long-term. Well, but that's a whole conversation of how to keep it up, but you did keep it up.
Right. Well, part of, again, understanding quantum physics, understanding that what I just said exists, believing, trusting, taking a chance if you don't believe it or trust it, but trying it on for size, that every version of you exists, every version of you in every way, from the abundant you, the in love you, the divorced you, the sick you, the dead you, like all versions of you, although we're not ever really dead, but because the greater part of ourselves is non-physical energy. So we're here physically focused in this body, but the greater part of us, and call it God, call it source, call it Jesus, call it creator, I don't care. But the larger part of you and everyone who's lived before you, that non-physical energy is much more powerful than we in this physical body are. We are the sunbeams of the sun, and the sun is the collective of all of the non-physical positive energy. So if you can remember that you are part of God, you are part of source, you are part of creator, you're part of Jesus, you're part of Buddha, who cares? Whatever the name is, give it, I don't care. But you are a part of that energy, physically focused here, which means you have the power.
I was literally thinking the same thing as you said it.
To create your own reality, no matter what that is, and no matter where you're starting from. I also believe, I'm going to say believe so I don't offend anybody, but I also know without a shadow of a doubt, 100%, that you chose where you are, which gives you purpose. It's not about that you got dealt a bad hand. I just did a podcast. I was just interviewed on autism about disability. And I said, look, I'm not disabled. I'm not clinically disabled in a way that would relate to your audience. But what I can tell you is that when you believe, I don't care what the problem is that has happened to you, that you were a victim of that you were dealt a bad hand, that God is punishing you, that you did something wrong, that you're not worthy, that you're not good enough. whatever the belief is, whatever the condition is, will not lead you to joy, love, and freedom and ease and peace and all the things that you want. It just won't. It can't, because you've given the power to somebody else or something else. But when you understand that you are literally source energy, that you are literally God energy, that you have the power to create whatever that you want to, then you can take your power back and say, well, if I chose this, and maybe you don't believe that, and that's fine. But if you believe you didn't choose it and you're a victim and you're tired of feeling that way, just try it on. Give yourself a month. Just say, well, if I chose all this, why did I choose it? Why am I here doing this? Why am I experiencing this? Why has all this contrast happened for me? If I chose this, I would never have willingly wanted to feel the pain. I've never willingly wanted to almost die. But what could be a bigger cause, a bigger reason that had to happen to me, that I would have decided in this lifetime, I'm going to come in, I'm going to have these bad things happen to me. Why? Because, and look at what's happened for you. This is what has happened. My thing, I've had a couple things, but my thing was my divorce, which may not seem monumental, but for someone who's freaking committed to learning and doing and changing and growing and being an amazing problem solver, and I can't solve this problem because there's two people involved, and even though I'm going to do as much as I can over here, that was why I started my show. I started my show to save my marriage. I learned all the things like you learned to heal yourself. I learned all the things to save my marriage. The amount of stuff you've learned, I've learned about the emotions to save my marriage, and I couldn't do it because I wasn't supposed to. It was supposed to teach me what it taught me to save other people's marriages. It was supposed to teach me how to heal my body by myself. I got rid of some fibroids by myself. So all the things, and to be able to be a light to shine for the rest of the world, and to bring people like you on to help us, to help me. I'm going to talk to you after we're done about helping people remove some of the blocks that they don't have the information for. Maybe they have the energy. So the two things that I would say, I think the awareness of what law of attraction is, and to be more expansive in your thinking or believing about why you're here and who you are and what's possible for you. I think that is the key to long-term high vibration, because if it's just short-term tricks, you get tired of it. It's too much efforting. It's not long lasting. You have to change the belief. But in the short term, it's whatever lights you up. And for me, it's always dancing. I literally was in Mexico with my mastermind in April, and I don't know what I had. I think I got like a really small little bug or sickness. I thought it was my period. I don't know what I thought it was, but I was kind of down. I wasn't hungry. I was feeling a little nauseous. I didn't really want to eat anything. I bounced out of it the next day, but I was like dead to the world. And when we got to dinner, and I didn't eat anything at dinner, I heard music. It was Latin music, of course, and it was salsa music. And I'm telling you, salsa music will wake me from the dead. I will be near death. You put salsa music on, and I will snap right back into full-on living, and I will be dancing. So for me, it's always dancing. And then a tool for any of you who are watching this, and if you're not, you can visualize. I have a journal next to me, and this is probably this is what helped me be and grow and master law of attraction during the time of my marriage, because I lived in a reality that didn't exist. And that's what law of attraction is. You have to live in a reality that doesn't exist yet. You know that it exists and it's coming. So you do an appreciation journal every night. Every night you list the things that you truly appreciate, the things in your life right now that are in front of you, and then you can also do the next list of what you're looking forward to. But both need to come from a place of something you truly, truly appreciate. And you can repeat the list every day until you find something new to appreciate. Don't make it up. It has to be in integrity. But you can always find something. I appreciate that we've having this conversation. I appreciate that it's a nice day. I appreciate air conditioning to make sure that I'm not just schwitzing like a crazy person. I appreciate my cat has been sleeping this entire time and has not walked across my desk. I appreciate we have a good internet connection, right? Like you can always find something to appreciate. So do that. That's where you can start. And that is the most effective, easy, free tool that everyone has access to every single day.
Can I give one or two? I'm doing quick though. And then I'm going to echo one thing you said. You said about, we kind of brought this on ourselves in a way. And that's really, really hard for a lot of us to hear. But I want to show how that may be true in my case, especially if you want to hear about mine. When I was 14 or 15, besides that needing to prove things, I thought I was meant for greatness. I would watch these movies and be like, I can be that guy. I had that ego of like that kid, like I could do this. I moved to LA by myself when I was 22. By the way, I was 3,000 miles away from anyone I knew. I just had this sense. And I thought I was going to be this actor, model, and all of a sudden I manifested. I was doing Tommy Hilfiger, Nautica, and I was doing a few movies. I'm a terrible actor, by the way. I'm shit. And I just try to be me. Now, I'm retired from all that many years ago. But I ended up creating greatness here. I was asking God, you said source energy, all that. I completely agree. If you don't know how to utilize the divine, you can't manifest. You don't understand how it works. And you are part of it. That means it's part of you. So use it. Get on the offense here. I love what you said about the gratitude too. But so one thing is I was I wanted to get out of that small town. I thought I could do big things. I was ready to work hard. I had that fire. And God goes, okay, here's an incurable disease. What? I thought I was going to be in the movies, sir. I didn't know. No, I didn't ask for this. No. I didn't ask for this. But years later, I work for myself. I can make as much as I want. I can have as much impact on the world as I want. And I could, if I wanted to be known and write books and all that, now have something that's way more fulfilling than being, oh, here's this guy in this whatever movie. Nowadays I look at that like there's nothing there. There's no energy to that. I love this so much more. I don't care if I'm talking about poop. I love this. I would much rather do this, much rather than try to act like some dude in some script, right? I'm Chris today and I'm Kevin tomorrow. And I love acting. I still have a passion for it, but now I'm just so obsessed with what I do. So the one thing I would say on manifestation, because I went through it, now I see it. The big thing I'd give is walk towards a smile. You have to be around positivity. So many of you are just living in this negativity and you're analyzing it and you have paralysis over it. And you just don't know how to go even when I was sick and I could hardly walk, I could still laugh. I found ways to laugh and smile and gratitude and call someone to make their day better. Get out of your head and walk. I say walk as an action towards a smile as an energy. Walk towards positive energy. Everyone says, what's the best thing I can do in a day? Feel good. I don't care what it is. Sauna, breath work, journal. If it fits your soul, you have to, if you want to manifest and you really want to do this, every day you got to get a vibration that feels great. And the second thing, I love what you said about appreciation. My fire energy, I like to shoot for the moon. You need to enroll the world in your biggest dreams. If there's one thing me and my wife always laugh about is I am not afraid to ask for anything. And you would be surprised how often I get what I ask for. And it might be completely delusional. I ask. I mean, here I am. I've got one of the world's biggest Crohn's colitis. I've helped more people than any clinic doctor in the world. I just asked for it. And I was willing to work for it. So ask, like, if you want to make X amount of money, ask. If you want to get rid of that disease, just ask. Affirmations, prayer, and purpose. Prayer is in, this is what I'm grateful for. Thank you, God, Jesus, Kermit the Frog, whatever you want to say, just like JJ said, just get that energy out. Affirmation or purpose. The purpose of my day is to. The purpose of my day has been. I used to carry around like how much money I wanted to build in my company. I used to carry around like what my dreams are. So I tell all my friends, I tell strangers, I tell cashiers, I'll tell them, I'll just literally enroll them in the reality I want all the time. You are, everyone I know, almost everyone around, I'm sure you're the same. You're too scared to say it. Get off the phone right now. You want to do something and tell everyone what you're going to do. Tell everyone your new reality, tell strangers, and start getting around positivity and start acting as if it's already happened and read vivaciously, because you got to get out of the weak consciousness you're in. That's why I love reading books, not listening to them, because you can't read and think about all your negativity at the same time. So it conditions you to think bigger. Okay. Joe Dispenza, rocket. Tony Robbins, rocket. 20 minutes a day, you'll manifest. So you got to practice your God-given ability. And I think me and JJ are on the same page with that. So my term is walk towards a smile and then get on the offense and start asking, affirming, not just talk, like thinking it. Say it out loud. Say it all the time. Say it to everyone. This is what I want. This is what I'm going to do. This is what is important to me. And you can change it every day, but the more you practice it, you're going to be a Jedi, a little ninja.
I love it. And for a lot of the women that are listening to this, you all need this, because you don't ask for what you want. You have to speak up and ask for what you want. Yeah. The only thing I want to add about what you heard me say and the way that you expressed it, so that people hear it the way that I mean it. Mm-hmm. When I say that you take responsibility, I don't mean that it was something that because you deserved it or something you did wrong or something, right? Like if it's something you have lived, it's because I believe before you incarnated in this body, you chose the path. It had nothing to do with any kind of shame or punishment and nothing like that. Nothing at all. There is no negative about that in my explanation of that. So hopefully if anybody heard it in that way, please know that that's not what I mean it. That's not how I mean it. So, okay. So people can book a free, crazy discovery call with you and your team. And you also have the download of the book. It's like the sixth, what's it?
6 tips to healing Crohn's colitis. Just, yeah, we'll get that out to you. But the free session, it's an application to see if you're right for our program. But even if you're in a different part of the country or you're in financially strapped or whatever, we are building massive systems to be cost effective and how to help and how to serve and free things and things that are, not very priced at all. And then we have our total packages where we really focus, we build your plan, you have a private coach, all that in the Shield program. So you can just fill out that application and we'll help you from there, and just write us and let us know what you want. Let us know, like we just said, tell us what you're going to create. That's what I would love. Here's what I want you to do. I want you, and let us know you came from JJ, and click the link in the show notes so that we know you came from JJ, okay? You write in there and you say, Dane, I want to manifest X, Y, and Z, and I want to know if you are the right partner to help me do this. That's it. That's it.
And we do have another Dane.
But the free session, you have to apply and you have to look, because these are full-time people. I pay my team full-time, and we get maybe 250 applications a month. So it's a lot. I do have to have some cycling of like where you live and where you are and stuff like that.
All right. So it's going to be jenniferzanes.com/Dane, D-A-N-E, because we do have a Dane here that we love. He's a D-A-I-N, but there's no link with his name on the end of it. Oh, no, actually there is. But it might not be active. So yours is going to be jenniferzanes.com/Dane, D-A-N-E, to book that free discovery call. And yeah, guys, like, get on it, get your gut healed. Let's have this conversation. Let's meet back here after you work with them, and let's do some results show. I'd love to hear how things went for you. So Dane, we could keep talking. I know. So I love it. Thank you. This is amazing. You're great. I hope everybody gets a discovery call and you help heal the world.
Thank you. God bless. One day at a time, guys. You can do it.